Hey everyone, welcome back. So happy to have you here for an episode that maybe I'm a little bit nervous to put out there. So I really hope everyone enjoys it. My guest for this episode is none other than my very best friend from vet school, Dr. Toffy Blaber. Now, Toffy and I live about 2 hours apart from each other, and for the last few years, we've both had multiple children and, just been busy raising very young kiddos, so we haven't gotten to spend a lot of time together. But VMX has continued to be this really fun time when we get to see each other face to face finally and reconnect, and that was certainly the case this year, which is where we recorded this episode. However, not to say that we don't talk on a regular basis. We probably chat, a few times a week, usually on the drive to go pick up our kids, and we'll tell each other funny or weird stories about what happened that day, and it just ends up being sort of a really therapeutic conversation between the two of us. So essentially what happened for this episode is we sort of recorded one of these just ridiculous therapeutic conversations that we sometimes have on our drive home. And, maybe this was a little more structured, a little different from our spontaneous conversations, but we tried to focus on humor in veterinary medicine because that seems to be a really good outlet for both of us. Veterinary medicine is a tough career. There's no two ways about it. So it's critical that we lean into, we rely on the humor where we can find it so we can keep that joy, we can find the fun in our day. I guess the part that makes me, when I say a little bit nervous, other than the fact that I feel like I'm really putting a lot out here, recording something, very similar to just a car conversation I have during the week, is maybe many of us in VetMed, I don't know that Toffy and I are in the minority here when I say we have sometimes a little bit of a twisted sense of humor, maybe a little gallows humor. So I hope that many of you can relate to some of the things that we're saying and take it for just the silly, lighthearted decompression that this conversation's meant to be. A little about my guest, Dr. Toffy Blaber completed her undergraduate coursework at the University of Florida with a major in animal sciences and a minor in business administration. She was then accepted to the University of Florida's College of Veterinary Medicine and graduated with her DVM degree in 2014. She currently resides in St. Augustine, Florida, where she works as a small animal general practitioner. She enjoys dermatology with a focus on allergy management and dentistry. As a mother of two, Dr. Blaber is also a professional toddler wrangler with an avid love of corgis and a staunch enthusiasm for charcuterie boards, sarcasm, and Prosecco. If that gives you a preview, let's go ahead and jump in. I'm back again with my bestie, Dr. Toffy Blaber. So we're going to talk about VetMed humor, and I'm going to be honest, I'm a little nervous because I know that at least, you and I occasionally can have some gallows humor, and I'm feeling like that might be a commonality throughout the industry, but yeah, so I'm a little nervous about where this conversation is going to go, but also very excited.
No,
so
me too. And I
you.
feel like that's a prerequisite to be a vet. Is like you have to have gallows humor or it won't be fun.
Just a little bit of dark humor, right? Like you just have to make it through the day somehow. Okay, so let's start out with, kind of a classic VetMed trope that, we love to hate is the insane scenarios where clients request toenail trims.
Yes.
Do you have any crazy stories of toenail trim requests?
It's just hilarious because it's getting worse.
It is getting worse.
It used to be reasonable toenail trim requests, and now it's just awful. So the worst one, so we'll have a dog come in, and it could be a dog that's actively exsanguinating. It got hit by a car and attacked by a pack of wolves. And as you're bringing it back, as literal life is draining out of it, they'll be like, "Can you trim its toenails?" while it's back there. And I'm like, "Are you kidding?"
It's so true. I had one like that recently. No. I wish I could remember the story, but I had one that was where I was like, "Oh my gosh, it just happened to me." And I cannot remember the story, but it was one of those scenarios where it was something crazy. And "But can you trim his toenails?" I'm like, Yeah, sure. We'll also trim the toenails.
I will save its life first.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not looking really good.
But then after that,
we can trim
toes are going to look great.
And even if it doesn't make it, we can do it then, I guess.
Oh my goodness. See, we're already going off the rails and we just got started.
One of the worst ones I'll never forget was one of my favorite texts at the end of a Saturday. Got a phone call from an owner who owns 6 pugs.
Oh, this is like a real story. This happened to you.
This
I
actually
thought you were
happened.
like making up an example. Like,
No.
oh, do tell. I have to hear this story.
So we closed at 1, and it was like at 12:30, and I love this technician, but the owner calls and was like, I have 6 pugs, which I found out recently is called a grumble.
So that's a real thing. Like, it's really called a grumble.
It's Google real. So I don't know if it's
only
actually
refer to 6 pugs as a grumble from here on out.
But when I Google what's a group of pugs called, it's called a grumble.
And we have our independent analysts over here verifying it is indeed called a grumble. Yes.
And so I like started looking up other breeds. So corgis, a group of them is called a corganization. I don't know if that's true, but that's what someone said
It
it's
is
called.
now.
And so I take it as canon now that it's what it's called. But so anyway, someone called and was like, I have 6 pugs. Can I bring them in for a toenail trim? She's like, yeah, no worries. And it's 12:30, so they haven't arrived at the clinic yet. And none of them will be sedated, obviously. But she's like, yeah, it's fine. And she comes and tells me, and she's like, 6 pugs will be coming in for a toenail trim. And I was like, oh, like next week at the beginning of the day when we have 20 staff members available for it, right? And she's like, no, it's just me and you. And I told him it was fine. And I was like, you are fired. Like, why would you agree to that? And it was horrible. Like, just the sheer number, like the amount of screaming, the amount of cyanosis going on. I was like, 3 of your 6 of the grumble are not going to make it. Like, this is not going well.
Oh my goodness.
But yes, I'm like, from now on, 1 pug per day. That's
yes.
all we can accommodate.
That
Like,
is our
I don't know
limit.
if you've ever trimmed pug toenails before. And it's at the end of it, she's like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, but yeah, so the toenail trims have just gotten out of hand. It's like with every ridiculous scenario, they're like, and can you trim its toenails? And I'm
Or like, have you ever gotten to the end of an annual, right? And you have this pet who's maybe like stressed out to come into the clinic. And so, you know, you work really hard. It's low stress handling. You make it through the vaccinations and you're like, okay, this was a successful appointment. You know, your animal didn't freak out. They're not overly stressed. We got everything done we needed to do. Let's get you checked out. And they're like, also, can you trim the toenails? And you're like, oh no.
the kiss of death.
Yeah, and you're like, all of our success is just gone out the window at this point.
And I just want to be, and it was after like we've had like a lot of staff available, like we could have gotten it done. And then it's at the end of the appointment, I'm already running behind.
Yes.
And then they're like, can you do that? And I just want to be like, no,
No.
it's not happening. But
Not
with a
today.
smile plastered on my face, I'm like, of course. And then I'm in the back and I'm like, I can't believe this just happened.
Hating every second of this right now.
Yeah, no, it happens with a lot of regularity now.
I just had a patient who came in and he cracks me up because he's like one of those he'll like fight with you, but not really, where it's like, he'll be like, you're killing me. And you're like, stop it. And he's like, okay. And he'll just relax. And so we had to do a toenail trim on him. And at first they were like, there's a bunch of notes. Like, I don't think we can do toenail trim on him. I'm like, no, we can't. Don't worry. And so I sat down on the floor and I had him in my lap. And because he does way better away from the owner, which I guess was in the extensive notes, like not part of the notes.
The novel that's in its history.
Yeah. So I was like, no,
Solely about its
he does
toenail trim.
better. Like, let's bring him to the treatment area. I sat down on the floor. I held him in my lap. And like, he did his typical, like, you're killing me. And I was like, bud, we're not killing you. You're fine. He's like, I know. And he would just like relax. And so we would just have to go like foot by foot where like, you know, he'd have his moment where like, you're fine. He's like, and then he'd relax and he'd let us do another foot. And it's just, I don't know, like
No, I'm sure it took like an hour.
it's such a, like, it seems like such a small thing, but the thing is like for dogs where a toenail trim is a small thing, like they're not the ones who are getting their toes trimmed at the vet clinic.
No, and you have to have like 5, like for some of them, you have to have like 5 staff members available. You need a gallon of peanut butter. You need 800 compliments ready to go. And I'm like, this is just the longest ordeal of my entire
Whole bottle
life.
of GABA and Chaz to go home.
And you make like $20 off of it too. And I'm just like, I'm glad
we did it.
we did this today.
Okay, and of course we're talking about like VetMed humor here, so we're being goofy, but like, you know, emphasis on the low stress handling and the peanut butter and the Gabatraz and sedation if needed and all of that. But there are plenty of those out there that will give you a hard time, but don't actually need to be sedated. They're just like my little friend there, where you just have to be like, you're fine, we're not amputating your foot, and they're like, okay.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, those are the ones in particular where you're like, well, this took 20 minutes.
Yes, no, it's so soul-sucking. I'm like, oh my God, I've been in this toenail trim forever now, and I have run out of compliments. My peanut butter's almost gone.
Yeah.
I'm done with this now.
We had one that, I don't think it was for toenail trims. I think it was for blood draws, but we had to sing him happy birthday. And I never tested,
On
like,
principle, I'd be like, no.
I don't know if like another song would have worked or if it was specifically happy birthday he wanted to hear, but it was like if you, I know it wasn't for toenail trims, it was for everything. Like if you wanted to draw his blood or give him vaccines, if you like pet him, you had to take him to the treatment area and pet him and sing him happy birthday, and he would let you like give him vaccines and everything.
That is hilarious. Like
really,
only happy birthday.
That's what I want to know. I don't know. I don't know if anybody's ever tried another song with him or if it's specifically happy birthday that he wants to hear. He's very old. I would just stick with happy birthday from here on out.
That's terrible.
I know, but it's like one of those where you adapt, right, to what they
That's
need.
true.
You're like,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
do you want to be in the room with your owners? Do you want to be in the treatment area? Do you want me to hold you? Do you want me to not hold you? Do you want Gabatraz? Do you need sedation? Do you need 2 mics per kg of dextometer? Do you need 15 mics per kg of dextometer?
I mean, if it works, but that is like the most hilarious method to like calmly, fear-free.
do you need dextometer and for us to sing you happy birthday?
That is funny.
While we're talking about dextometer, dexmedetomidine, I will say, because in general, not specifically that one. Have I told you about like my rocky relationship with dexmedetomidine?
No.
Yeah, so I'm very thankful that there was another doctor that I worked with for, I'm so sad we don't work together anymore. She does ER now. But she loved dexmedetomidine, and she would like dexmedetomidine everything.
Yeah.
And it worked great for her. Dexmedetomidine is very unpredictable in my hands. Like, I'm the one that gets the, like, well, they did fine last time, but now they're, like, not breathing. Which is what happened to me in the most dramatic example, where I had a dog come in. It had been sedated in the past for, like, anal glands and stuff like that. The owner was like, yep, that's totally fine to sedate. The dog was otherwise healthy to sedate. It had come in on Gabatraz this time, which was different from the past. And it seemed like a perfectly nice, handleable dog. And I was like, you seem fine, but like I'm about to trim your toenails and do anal glands and stuff like that, and your owner's fine with sedating. You've been sedated in the past. Why are we going to stress you out with this? Like, you've got your anxiety meds. We'll give you sedation. Away we go. So I looked at the sedation dose used in the past, and I cut it. I want to say I gave him less than half of what had been given in the past because this dog just seemed so like he was fine. He was, you could tell like he was going to get stressed out if we did stuff. It was enough to like warrant sedation, but like he wasn't terrible. He wasn't unpleasant. This, like, we had to reverse him twice after, like, he was fine for the sedation. We got everything done, but then, like, to wake him up, like, we reversed him, and he was like, no, I'm not going to breathe.
No.
I'm like, you are given less than half of the dose and reversed, and you still won't breathe for me? Yeah, dexmedetomidine and I have a rocky relationship.
No.
We don't always get along.
Oh my gosh, no. I've been like pretty lucky with it, but like most of my patients will have like this awful like blue color.
Oh,
like not
gosh.
blue, but like they're like super like vasoconstricted.
That,
so
like,
they
initial.
So they like initially like that's when the tech always like lifts up their lip to check like gum color,
Sure.
and it's always like this awful color, and I'm like, ugh, like hate the way that they look initially on it, but it like in my hands I've been lucky in that it works pretty well.
Oh, that's great.
But
like that initial heart rate drop gives me a heart attack every time.
No, me too. Because some of them will get like really low, and I'm just like just jamming the chest a little bit, doing like fake compressions. I'm like, stop this. Like,
are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw in some few extra beats for you in here. But
well, and that's where I was so thankful that I worked with this other doctor who loved it and used it all the time because in my experience, I feel like when I give that drug, it's like the heart rate just tanks initially, and you're like, oh gosh, is everything okay? And then if you give it like 5 minutes or so, it'll kind of get to, there's still bradycardic, but it's a more like not giving me a heart attack level. And so I was so thankful to work with her where I would be like, should I panic? Should I panic? And she would just like hold my hand and be like, it's okay, don't panic.
No.
And so now I can at least like make it through that 5 minutes enough to not immediately grab atipamezole.
Yeah. But no, there's like, and like with Kitty Magic too, like it's really helpful for like short procedures, or we use it. I use that combo commonly for cats. We have to like shave down, and it's always like some mean, awful fat cat that has like this long, horrible matted fur. And so like that combination has worked really well. But initially, like their color and their heart rate is crap, and I'm like, like hate this combo for the first like minute or two.
I also have a confession to make about spicy cats. I've grown to love spicy cats.
Oh, girl.
I
I'll
know.
let you have them all.
Like, I went to school to work on dairy cows, which are like the Labradors of the large animal world. And I have grown to really enjoy spicy cats because I feel like given the right circumstances, kind of like a spicy chihuahua, like you can kind of talk them into being okay.
That's true. And you don't have to take them super seriously.
Right.
Like a chihuahua that's like growling and vicious when it's 5 pounds, like reminds me of the bunny from Monty Python, where it's like hilarious. Yes. But like an 80-pound dog doing the same thing, I'm like, I have more respect for that scenario. But yeah, if it's a 5-pound chihuahua, I'm like, this is funny.
Although, like, in fairness, like the bunny from Monty Python, it was deadly.
It was savage. And then I'll remember the dude with the horns. Like, he's like laughing hysterically his ass off because everyone's
which is kind of like the Chihuahua owner. It's like, oh yeah, he bites.
Yeah, they tell me after the fact and they're laughing about it. And then like internally I'm like, this was funny, but externally I'm like, madam, you need to tell me that before my staff get mauled by this tiny potato. But still,
please warn me. Now, I have had cats where I'm like, nope, too spicy. Like, we cannot do this. And usually those are the ones not on pre-meds. And like, you know, we have to go back and revamp. But like, I feel like with the right pre-meds and like the right, when you know they're coming and you're like, okay, I can mentally prepare for this. We can have the right room, like get all my feel away and my churu, and you've had all the gabapentin.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I get so much like joy out of when they're like, okay, fine, I will let you touch me. And I'm like, yes.
You feel chosen, I feel like,
I do.
when that happens.
I do.
But like the kiss of death for me is when they're called something like funny. Like we had a cat named Jingle Bells and it was the most vicious animal I've ever met. And like I was taken off guard because I'm like, oh, it's named Jingle Bells. Like it's going to be fine. This is going to be a really cute visit. And it was the most savage animal I have ever come into contact with. I was like, oh my God.
Oh no, Jingle Bells.
We have to knock Jingle Bells out completely.
Oh, no. Well, and the one I'm thinking of that where I was like, no, this is not going to happen. You have to go home and give your cat pre-meds. Like there's no way we can do this day. I couldn't get him out of the carrier. He was an orange male.
Oh, they're always so good.
I know. He was not okay. He was not happy. He was not. Also, same family, maybe. I'm not sure. This is random. This is not VetMed humor. But I brought in a cat who I was looking at, and I was like, oh, it's polydactyl. And this was like a stray cat that was found. I'm like, oh, it's polydactyl. And I like flipped over the foot to look at the paw pads. Nope, it had 6 feet.
Oh, wow.
It was a whole other foot
growing
out of his side. I have pictures.
That's crazy.
I have pictures. I have photo documentation of the 6-footed cat.
I hope you high-fived its extra foot. Like, you have to do that, right?
I really hope I did, too, and now I don't know.
That's wild. I've never seen that, but that's intense, yeah. Did you do a toenail trim? Even if it didn't need it.
Of course I did a toenail.
It or something.
We charged extra because there were 6 feet.
That's crazy.
It was awesome. He has shockingly like GI issues and other things because I'm sure that like, you know, his mom did something bad with her brother and now we have a 6-footed cat.
Oh God.
And it absorbed its twin. See, here I go down the rabbit hole of dark humor.
That's terrible.
Oh, gosh. Okay, we have to pivot from this topic or else it's just going to go very south. Internal monologues. When you get into those inevitable situations.
No, and there's so many of them. Like people are just, they love their vets and they will just go on about like just something that's completely unrelated to why they're there. And it'll be like 15, 20 minutes later. And I'm like, if you don't mind, I'm just going to lay down here and die. And then I'm like, is it lay or lie? And then I'm just not even paying attention anymore.
And then they ask you a question about what they've been talking about.
Yes, and I'm like, I was not here for the last 20 minutes.
Trying to figure out the English language.
Yeah, I was trying to worry about grammar in my own passing in the middle of this talk that you're giving me for the last 30 minutes.
I
that
feel
has
like
nothing to do with anything.
I definitely get like people who will ramble on about, you know, I don't know what sometimes, but for me it's like when we get to that point in the exam where I'm ready to say, okay, like these are the treatment recommendations, or like it's also really important to me at the end to kind of like summarize everything and be like, look, you came in for this problem, this is what we're going to do about it, this is what we're going to do if it doesn't work. So that's like the last thing they hear as they walk out. But I feel like I'll get to that point sometimes in the exam where I'm ready to give my recommendations. And it's like, as soon as I'm like, and then we're going to do this. And then the person talks over me. Yeah. And then we're going to do, and then they talk over me. And I'm like, yeah, sure. You talk now. Like, it's fine. Like, I'll listen to your treatment recommendations.
This is what we're here for, is to listen to you talk about.
Like, I feel like it did a lot of active listening there a few minutes ago. Like, I think this is my part.
I'm such a great listener at this point. The worst one for me is I'll have, and like, understand, like, some pets are very difficult to treat, and like I get that and I have empathy for that, but it's more of like the owners that are like super grouchy about it, and I'll like list like a whole bunch of suggestions on how to, and it's always like typically like a really mean cat where they're like, I can't give it pills, and I'm like, okay, well, what about like a transdermal medication? And they're like, there's no way I can do that. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe we can get it compounded into a liquid and you can like squirt it onto its food and mix it in and hope for that. No, that's not going to work. And I'm like, okay, well, they can compound it into like some gooey stuff you put on its paw, and they'll look it up. No, that won't work either. And I'm like, well, I have like this really good looking casket in the back, and we can just open it and welcome your pet in there, because that's the only other thing I can offer you at this point. But I don't say that out loud. It's just to help me like get through. Yeah, and I'm just like, I am fresh out of options for you at this point. Like, I've given you every single thing we can try, and it just sounds like we need to look at caskets now at this point, and we can make it look really cute. And
I feel like that about e-collars, where it's like, I can't keep an e-collar, and you're like, okay, I don't know. They make so many things other than e-collars. They're like, okay, well, it'll take the e-collar off, or he'll take the e-collar off. Okay, can you do an e-collar with, like, what I call them, the airplane pillows, like the inflatable e-collar? I'm like, can you do both? Like, it'll make it a little bit harder to move around, maybe not as easy. You can, strap everything to the collar so it's tight. Nope, can't do that. Yeah. Okay, maybe we can do like a bodysuit or something. Nope, that won't work. And and I just get like shot down over e-collars, and I'm like, I mean, I can just charge you for the second surgery now.
Yeah, right.
And because if your pet licks this, like, this is, especially like if it's an abdominal incision or something like that. And like, in fairness, it was a hunting dog who's in my care, and I was trying to keep an e-collar on her, and like, it became borderline. I did finally accomplish it. There was a lot of duct tape involved, but
on the e-collar.
On the e-collar on the dog.
I only asked because I had an owner that rejected everything. I was like, can I just duct tape around it? And I was like, no.
I feel like that's a bad idea.
I was like, that's the one suggestion I will shoot down. Yes. Let's try the 20 other ones that I suggested first before just putting a duct tape corset on your pet for the next 10 days.
How do you, like, and also if there's sutures or like how, no.
I almost wanted to say yes just to see like what was going to happen, like what the thought process
Curious minds want to know.
But I'm just like, I don't think so, and I think that's a bad idea.
But I will say, I went out to check on this dog who had she had like the soft e-collar on, and she had the airplane pillow e-collar on, and it was all strapped to her collar just like I suggested clients, and like she had both of them off and was just like grinning ear to ear, like, look what I did. And I'm like, oh, I have so much more sympathy for the e-collar talk now. Or like, have you ever had the e-collar talk turn into a foreign body talk? Like, I feel like I counsel owners on that a lot, where if it's a foot, and I'm like, you can put an e-collar on. I know everybody hates e-collars. I understand why. You can also use a sock. If you use a sock, you need to make sure your pet doesn't eat the sock, because right now we have a broken toenail, and I don't want that to turn into a foreign body.
Yeah, we're just going to add to the list of problems it's going to have. But yeah, just most of the time, like, I find most owners are like violently against having an e-collar on, and most of them like won't even entertain like the airplane pillow or doing a shirt. They're like, they're fine. They're not gonna eat at it. And I was like, you know this? Like, you already know ahead of time. Yeah. They're just gonna completely leave it alone. And I'm like, I don't know. It's risky. Like, if they like chew open this
like abdominal, you're like, do you know what lives in there? Like, bad things can come out of there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so, but most, like, it's funny how a lot of them get like, they're like, I'm just not gonna put it on. And I've seen, it's not happened to me personally, but I've seen one where a dog's like chewed the incision open and then just like viscera's all over the place. So I'll like regale them with that story, and they're like, a lot of them will be like, I'll put the e-collar on. And I was like, yeah, I think that would be excellent.
Yes, that usually is enough to be like, look, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it can. Yeah. And so you really might want to consider the e-collar. Yeah. I'm sorry about the bruises on your shins in advance. Yeah. Those are going to happen. Yeah. But all the abdominal organs should stay where they're supposed to be.
Yes, cost benefit ratio, right? Like,
or like the keeping the dog quiet after the neuter, where this is a thing for me when I neuter dogs, is I count the testicles, where I'm like 1, 2. There are 2 testicles there, because I've had owners who won't keep dogs quiet after a neuter, and like now I know what to look for, but I was kind of newer, like a newer grad, and I had this dog come back, and I swear there was a testicle in there, and I was like, oh my gosh, like what if I got distracted and I only took 1 testicle? It was a hematoma. But yeah, so I count the testicles, and then I tell the owners, I'm like, listen, you need to keep them quiet, because otherwise they will grow another testicle.
yeah.
It's 50-50, I feel like.
Yeah. And it's like, and the other thing with neuters too, especially in like mature large breeds, because I don't typically do a scrotal ablation, and so I now know to forewarn them that there's a change purse that will be there, because so many of them get like so offended by its presence, and they're like, there's like this thing here, and I was like, I mean, no one's gonna care.
Yeah, I'm
like,
so glad you call it the coin purse too. That's
yes, and I just get so bent out of shape about it, and I'm like, it's okay. Like no one's like lifting his tail actively and like looking at it. Like I think he's fine with it too. Like
It'll be
I mean, maybe not, but it's gonna be okay. Like,
it is a recipe for a scrotal hematoma then.
yeah, and this is like keep him exercise restricted, because then it will go from a change purse to like a full on like full blown like pillow.
He'll
I
be
guess
rich.
I don't know. But yeah, but it will look like he has balls again. Like
Yes.
just keep him quiet.
I also have a talk that I give owners after like a spay or neuter in particular, any kind of surgery where I need them to stay quiet and, sit. Because, okay, so like a spay or neuter, a lot of times it's a puppy, and we have to keep them quiet, and it's impossible to keep puppies quiet. And so we'll, use Gabatraz in those cases just to help like the exercise restriction for a little while. And I'm like, listen, here's how this is going to go. Couple 2-3 days, you're gonna be like, this isn't so bad. Like they're pretty quiet. Like they're being so good. Look, I have the unicorn dog or cat who's recovering.
Mine's the
They're
best.
doing fantastic. I'm so happy. Somewhere between day 3 and 5, they're gonna start going crazy, and you're gonna be like, oh, this is why they gave me the meds. And then you're gonna give the meds, and you're gonna sedate them, and you're gonna be like, oh, great, like they're sedated. And then somewhere between day 7 and 10, you're gonna feel guilty about giving those meds.
You're
You're
give
gonna
up on
question
it.
if you should actually do it. And you're gonna be like, I don't know, like I feel bad sedating my dog. Listen to my voice right now. Please keep them restricted, and if
Don't
that
do it.
requires meds, give them the meds.
Yes, even for like visits, some owners will be like, oh, I gave, because I'll usually do it the night before and then 2 hours before a visit. And so they'll be like, I gave the dose for the night before, and they were super tired, so I didn't give them the dose for this visit. And I'm like, that was our goal though, to like have them be calm and relaxed. Like
You want them.
and now they're freaking out, and we have to reschedule this and do this all over again. But that's another internal monologue where I'm like, but why?
But
like
why?
that like mission accomplished. Like the way they looked last night was how I wanted them to look
I
now.
have a confession.
Yes.
I have done that.
No.
Yes.
Cassie.
I feel like he's so tired. He'll be fine.
Shame.
But the good news is I've used that when having that conversation with owners where I'm like, don't make my mistake. He was not okay.
I was going to follow up with, and like he was fine and he didn't need the morning meds. And I was
no,
like,
he was
no,
terrible. He barked the whole time. It was
you are
awful.
enabling all these owners now.
No. No, now he gets it. Like when he goes in, because he's not bad. He barks and he's terrible. He's not that bad. He's terrible. No, he just like is so excited that people are touching him that he's like, this is amazing. And he's huge. He's hard to restrain. So
Yeah.
But I was like, he's so tired on the gabapen. He's fine. He's not mean. Like he's fine. And yeah, he wasn't fine. We couldn't get any. I think we had to draw blood. It was not happening. No, it wasn't blood. It was x-rays. It was even worse than blood.
No.
He was like, I'm going to dance on the x-ray table. So now I tell owners, I'm like, look, I've done it myself.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Don't fall for that trap.
Don't do it. Yes, but I know that feeling. You're like, but why?
I wouldn't have said that about you, like if that happened.
Yes, you would have. You're saying it right now. You just said shame, shame, shame. Oh my goodness. You have a no fart zone sign on your OR.
I do. I don't have it posted. It's in my car. I keep forgetting to take it out, but I did.
But you made a no fart zone sign for the OR.
I bought it because I saw it and I
Oh,
was
you
like, this
bought
is
it.
perfect. Yeah, there was a store I went to and it has like a stick person with a little fart emblem, like the little puff of air coming out its butt, and then the big cross, no, and it says no fart zone on there. So I bought it, but I haven't put it up yet, but that's where its intended spot is, to go to surgery.
Why?
Because I have many dairy intolerant staff, who just don't care, and they'll just mow on dairy, consequences be damned for the rest of us.
And then lock you in an OR.
And we're getting so comfortable now where it's the Wild West in our treatment area, and farts are just a-flying and no one cares. And I'm having to yell at people now for farting all the time. I'm like, I love that we are all very tight knit, but I draw the line at active loud farts all the time.
Especially like when you know that you are doing this. Like you are doing something that you know is going to give you terrible gas. And
I'm upset because there was a sign right next to that says fart zones. I wanted to put that like in the bathroom or somewhere where it's like, this is totally fine, you can fart here. But once we cross this area, we don't fart anymore.
This is a no.
But you have to like be able to have fun.
Oh yeah.
I feel like it's starting to like infiltrate the rest of the dairy intolerant staff, where it's like we're gonna start opening that door and everyone can just fart at will. And I'm like, no, we gotta
cheese sandwiches every day.
Yeah, we gotta draw the line somewhere. And I'm gonna start banning dairy products from our job.
I have to be able to breathe in order to do the exams.
It's so funny. But yeah, so now I saw that sign. I was like, this is perfect. We have to, like I said, we have to draw the line somewhere. This is an OSHA like safety kind of thing now, where I'm like, we need to do something about
dangerous
this.
Fumes that are here.
Disrespectful for our respiratory systems. Like we need to draw the line.
I hope that's like how you explained it to the staff. You're like, listen, OSHA came in and they said there were toxic levels of methane gas.
It's unacceptable. The farts have got to stop. But I don't know. Having kids, I'm like. Farts are just universally funny, and it's like it doesn't get old.
No,
like,
it does not.
My son finds them hilarious, and I'm like, they will be hilarious decades from now for you. From personal experience, I can tell you. But it's
all right. I debated. I can't believe I'm sharing this on the podcast. We're like,
yes.
Like if somebody farts in my house, then like usually my oldest daughter will be like, ah, and I'm like. I mean, there's more room on the outside than there is on the inside. It's so funny.
It is. It's always funny.
It is funny. Oh my gosh. Okay. Getting away from farts and just like instilling humor into like the treatment area. I feel like that can also be used to ease really tense situations. And so, for example, like I hope this isn't too dark. So I had a cat come in recently who was really, really sick and ended up coding. And the owners elected CPR, and we like actually successfully got the cat back for a period of time. He ended up crashing again. Ultimately, like we had to euthanize. It was sad, but like so picture like you're doing CPR, right? And it's a 2-minute cycle. Like that can be a really long 2 minutes where you if you've done all the things you're supposed, you've given the reversals, you've done the fluids, you've done the drugs, everything like that you're supposed to do, and you're just like giving compressions and breathing and waiting for that 2-minute mark to where you can see if there is a heartbeat. That's a really long time. So apparently one of the doctors that I work with did some project in vet school where she found a bunch of songs that were 100 beats a minute.
Oh, nice.
So she started singing Baby Shark in the middle of doing compressions because Baby Shark, surprise, is 100 beats a minute.
I'll never be able to get rid of that knowledge now.
Yes. Now, like, you can't do it, like, to the words. You have to do it to the beat, right? So it's not like baby. Okay. Like, it's like you have to do it to, like, you have to keep compressing even when there's, like, pauses in the words.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
I
so she started.
Song was gone from my existence, and now it will never leave me.
Yes. No. Now you're going to sing Baby Shark every time you do compressions. But it, like, it, of course, like, CPR, it's a serious situation. We were taking it all seriously, but to just like you're kind of like sitting on your hands. You're like, oh, I want to do something, but there's nothing to do until you get to the end of that 2-minute cycle. So her singing Baby Shark kind of like got us through to the next cycle where we can check the cat.
No, like a dream of mine. I've never like done this, but like you remember like hearing about precordial thumps like as like something.
I have done one.
Did it work?
I don't remember. I feel like probably not if I don't remember.
I've always like wanted to do one where it's like we've done CPR for like 20 minutes and like it didn't seem like, and just come in like a boss and just do the thump and then it comes back to life and I would be like, I'm done. Like I've
fixed.
I have won VetMed. Like it's always been my dream to do that and I've just never had like the.
I feel like if you were doing CPR for 20 minutes, like probably the precordial thump is not gonna do it.
That would be like the most like baller thing about it. Is
it would.
Like, nothing we could do. And then I just come in like a boss and just like punch this thing in the
You
chest.
just had
and
like
it comes to life.
asystole for 20 minutes, and all of a sudden it went to like VFib, and you're like, bam.
I would retire right then.
Yeah.
Just be like, yep,
This will be my exit.
I won.
Yeah.
VetMed.
And like
now I'm
no
done.
brain damage from being gone for 20 minutes,
Yeah,
like
right.
nothing.
Completely no. I walk like
No
sits up,
deficits.
walks away to its owner.
I
and
love
just
it.
Pop in. I'm like, you're
Bam.
welcome. Yeah. And then I just leave. And I drop fake mic that I got somehow, I don't know. And then I just walk out.
And then you like make infomercials because you're like, I have the magic touch.
Where I feel like we missed our calling to make a lot of money is like, I think I saw an article where now like people who can speak to pets charge like $500 an hour.
What?
And there's like this long wait list. And I'm like, ugh, if they only had canine and feline medium classes when we were in school, we could just make a killing. We did buy a tiny crystal ball for my clinic that
Love
I will consult. I just saw that the other day because I saw a Vin article about it, and I was like, oh my God, like $500. Like, man, missed out on a really lucrative practice. Yeah.
Goodness, yeah. Well, speaking of missing our calling here, so we used to have like
Are we
high
talking about swamp
hopes.
wives?
We're gonna talk about swamp wives. Let's talk about swamp wives.
That's-
Okay, so
This whole thing's gonna be edited out.
No. I feel like there's gonna be so many like, particularly moms, maybe all women, I don't know, who can relate to this, because it was like around Christmas time, and I was texting you, and I was like, it's too much, Toff. It's too much. Like, I've got this, and I've got this, and I've got this, and I'm running around like crazy, and I'm trying to do all the things, and like, how in the heck do we get these things done? I don't understand. I think I like sent you the Barbie monologue at one point where it's like, and we have to answer for this and that. Yeah, and it was like, I was having a moment. You texted me back that we were going to become swamp wives, and I'm going to stop there and let you explain what swamp wives are.
It's my
Because
dream.
it was amazing.
No, because there's always like stories and memes about how like J-Lo is about to be 60 and she still looks like she's 20 and she's like climbing stripper poles and has abs, and I'm like, oh my God. And then like Martha Stewart's looking like a snack at 82 and she's like on the cover of like Vanity Fair looking foxy, and I'm like, when is it?
Don't even talk to me about like Blake Lively. Has she had like 4 kids and like looks like she hasn't had a single one?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, just like the mounting pressures of everything else that you have to do as a female in the workforce, and then you also have to just look snacky on top of it all. And I'm like, you know what? It is my turn to be a swamp wife where I smell like gravy and onions all day, and I don't have to do my hair, and that's okay. And it's like, I'm ready to be swampy now. Like, I've put in my time to be cute, and now I'm ready to segue into swampiness.
This
and
is the antithesis of trophy wives.
Yeah, yes, because I'm like, okay, like trophy wife time has passed. My husband was like, I was talking to him about this, and he was like, but I don't make trophy wife money. Like, why did you ever think that was an option? And I was like, it was just a dream of mine. You know, I have to like crap on my dream, but that was what my goal was, to like pay off my vet school bills. But now that that's not panning out, and I love you, I'm going to stay with you. So now I'm ready to transition into my swamp wife phase where, like I said, I can smell weird, and that's acceptable. And this is just part of where I'm like morphing into now. And we actually like walked somewhere where there's like a little ramp. It's a kayak ramp, but it's into a swamp. And he was like, this place is disgusting. And I was like, how many dreams of mine are you going to shit on today? Like, I'm just like, all over you. Ew.
I didn't even notice because I was like,
so upset. I was like,
this is my home now.
yeah, I was like, how dare you? Like, this is where I've come into like my full personality here. Like, I don't understand. Like, this is my dream now. And I just, I'm like upset. I'm like, I've put in my time. I'm ready to just let go now.
Yeah,
and
just
embrace.
like enjoy the snack while it lasts, because now we're going swampy. And when you ask me when the last time I showered was, I'm going to say I don't really know.
No, I didn't is the answer.
Yeah.
I haven't for.
Although that was kind of me in like the first 2 years of vet school. They'd be like, did you take a shower? I'm like, I don't remember.
No.
And yeah, so it's just time to go back to my roots, I think.
Absolutely did not. And if in the future, you don't have to ask anymore because I haven't.
If you think I smell weird, I probably do. So just go with that.
That's my swamp aroma. Like,
yes.
I worked
my gosh.
hard to smell like this.
I love it. And it was like exactly what I needed to hear in that moment where you're like, you were like, I'm just ready to become a swamp wife. And I was like, waited for the explanation, and then I got it, and I was like, yes, you are onto something here.
Yes.
And then you went to a swamp right after that.
I did not even know this word because it was near like a restaurant we were at. And I was like, oh, like what's down here? And just called to me. And I was like, this is it. And then he was like, this place is disgusting. And
The
I was
frogs
like,
are singing to me.
there's like leftover Bud Light cans like off the ramp. It's smelling worse and worse. There's a lot of bugs. And I'm like, this is home.
I love it. Yeah, you're like, this is I found my place in life. Oh, so I hope that, I hope everybody finds that funny, but especially like, like women who are working hard and like, okay, and I'm trying to like work out and do all the things.
Yes.
Like, no, just maybe it's time to be a swamp wife.
You can let go, boo. It's time.
We're with you.
Yes,
we're with you.
come and embrace embrace us. Like we're ready for you.
There are leftover Bud Light cans for you too.
Yes.
I feel like we need to talk about hilarious pet names.
Oh, okay. Yes, I forgot.
Yes, because hilarious are my favorite things.
No, it's so funny.
Yes. This one's not as hilarious, but I just appreciated this name so much because I thought it was really clever because my husband is obsessed with Star Wars, therefore I know way more about Star Wars than I ever intended to know. Yeah, I know you like Star Wars too, and you guys bond over that, and it's all good. But no, I've been like dragged into the Star Wars universe, whatever it is. Which I actually kind of like it now, which I hate to hear myself say, but it's true. Yeah.
My son has a Star Wars birthday.
Yeah. Oh, so he does.
Yeah,
he
so
sure does.
It is on Star Wars. I forced it on him. I'm like, you will love Star Wars.
You will love Star Wars.
I don't know much about it, but you will like it.
It's definitely grown on me, more so than I ever thought it would. But so this owner came in, and she was like, her dog's name was Nerf. And I was like, why is his name Nerf? Like, does he look like a Nerf ball? He doesn't to me, but maybe he does to you. And she's like, no, he was scruffy looking. When I found him, I was like, oh my gosh, he's a scruffy looking Nerf herder.
Oh.
And I was like, that's so funny. Which the fact that I knew that as soon as she said he was scruffy looking, just hurt my heart. But I do know these things about Star Wars now.
Yes.
So that's not a hilarious one, but I thought it was really clever.
No, it is clever. And I find there's like two spectrums for me. Like human names, like if you name your dog Jeff, that's like really funny to me somehow. Yeah. And I'm like, all right,
this is specifically Jeff.
This is Jeff. Welcome.
Yes.
So like that's hilarious to me. And then like over the top names, like Captain Sparkle Farts. And I'm like, I can't take your pet seriously. And it's even if there's something serious going on with the pet, I'm like, do I like just call him Captain and try to like maintain a serious face, or do I use the full name?
Sometimes you have to ask the owner, like, what do you call them at home? And sometimes they're like Captain Sparkle Farts.
Yeah,
and
I'm like, okay. And if I have a pet with a name like that, because most medications, I'll like have my tech be like, just call this in, and you can leave it on voicemail. But if you're going to name your pet that, I'm personally calling the pharmacist, and I'm declining voicemail, and I'm getting put on hold for the 10 minutes to talk to someone.
Just for that question of what's the pet's name?
Yeah, it's Captain Sparkle Farts. I'm worried you didn't hear the whole thing. It's Captain all the way, Sparkle, and then
Would you like me to spell it for you? Because Captain, just like you would spell Captain, Sparkle Farts. 2 words.
But it's so funny. But then, like I said, if it's something serious going on, it's like hard to.
Oh, it's so hard. Even like for Jeff. Like Jeff would be hard. Yeah. Like if in something serious, you're like, well, it's not looking so good for Jeff.
No, I love like human names for pets. So it's like, like Tim, like just random. I'm like, okay.
I had one come in, and she was this. I don't remember what kind of dog she was. She was this huge white dog, super sweet, and they called her Abby. And I was like, oh, hi, Abby. But then I saw, like, her tag on her collar. And I don't know what all the names were, but it was, like, Abigail, Rainbow, Princess.
Oh, wow.
Like, there was some other, like, weird name in there, like Hedgehog or something. It was, like, Abigail, Rainbow, Hedgehog, Sparkle Princess or something. And I was, like, the owner was, like, about my age. He was an anesthesiologist. So we were both medical people. And I was, like, so her tag. And he's, like... Yeah, like everybody in the house got to pick a name, and then they just like put them in order on the tag. So it was like Abigail, Rainbow, Hedgehog, Sparkle Princess. And I was like, he's like, but we call her Abby. And like he totally owned it. Like he wasn't even laughing. He was like, yeah, this is just, he was very matter of fact. He's like, yes, this is how this works. So her name is Abigail, Rainbow, Hedgehog, Sparkle Princess.
Oh my God.
But we call her Abby.
That is like, so, but that would be one where I'm like, I have to call this in and like share this knowledge in person.
Yes.
another medical professional
Oh,
so they can be in on this.
Absolutely. I would hope that like human pharmacists, when they get those calls about like Captain Sparkle farts, that like we just brighten their day a little bit.
I just hear them clicking away, typing in the full name. I'm like, don't condense it. It is the full thing.
You're not abbreviating.
Yeah, this is a medical record, ma'am. Like, the whole thing. Put it in there.
And then it's in their computer forever. Like, it's one thing if it's in our computer forever, but like it's in like the, you know, like the Publix pharmacy computer, like Captain Sparkle farts.
Yeah.
I love it.
Definitely.
Amazing. Oh, funny names are my favorite. Jeff is a good example. I forgot about like animals named Jeff.
Yeah.
I do love that.
No, it's the best. And I always ask, like, I'm like, oh, is it like short for Jeffrey? Like, just like a regal name? They're like, no, it's Jeff.
It's Jeff.
I'm
It's
like,
Jeff.
that's even better.
I
I appreciate that.
Jeff.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I think I don't know. I don't think we went too far off the rails there with our humor.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like feel like I just laughed for an hour straight. So I really appreciate this
I feel like I
conversation.
just talked to you about work and just laughed for an hour.
But I think, you know, that's a good thing, right? Because so many times, like, I mean, what we do, it's difficult, it's stressful, it's serious at times, and so it's kind of nice to know that like we can sit here and laugh for an hour about like the goofy things that we encounter at work, in particular, like dogs named Jeff. But I think it's so important to appreciate these, like, just those little moments. It can be so easy to take home the person who is mad about their bill, or like the person who was gruff and didn't want to take your suggestions. But if you can just like remember like the Captain Sparkle farts of your day, or turn those irritating conversations when you're like, I'm trying to help you, but you're not helping me help you, into like, just funny conversations of like, okay, well, would you like to just go ahead and put a down payment on the second surgery now? Because, and just, like, give yourself some, is it lay down or lie down? I don't know what you're saying, because I'm just talking to myself while you are telling me your life story over there. Yes. I think if you could like if we can remember to think about it that way, and to just inject some levity into our days, it can, I don't know, it helps a lot.
I think so too. And it's a difficult job, like, for all involved. And so I think if you can find the humor, it translates to the joy of the work that you do, and it makes for a much more enjoyable work environment where your whole team will enjoy being there, and it's not such a serious, like, difficult thing all the time. So I think it's important, not just for yourself, but also for everyone there, as a means to like longevity in the career, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, Toffy, this was so much fun, and I'm so glad that we're embracing our swamp wife period.
I'm ready. It is our time. It is our time.
It is. Oh, I can't wait till next time. Thank you for coming on the podcast with me again, letting me rope you into this.
Always. I'm always ready.
Oh my goodness, what a ridiculous conversation. I really hope you guys had as much fun as we did recording that. Thank you so much, Toffy, for coming back on the podcast and joining me, and thanks to everyone out there for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts, so other veterinary professionals like you can find this and other great content that we put out there. For more episodes like this, click on the Education tab on the VetFolio website. As always, we'd love to hear your input on this talk, as well as ideas for topics you'd like to hear from us in the future. Feel free to reach out to me at dvm@vetfolio.com. You can also visit my Facebook page at Dr. Cassi DVM, and you can find me on LinkedIn. And remember, if one animal is better off because of you today, it's a great day.